questions?
Thought you calling it to order?
Any questions? Yeah, because we're going to do the agenda and you want to add something in it.
Yes, I emailed it to you,
Yes,
so,
it was about the costs for the, you emailed it to the to my personal address.
I thought I sent,
Since you were going to make a motion, I didn't memorize it.
no, tuition. I sent it to your,
Right.
Lynchburg City, yeah. LCS.
I got it
I
at
thought I did.
I got it on my work email.
You know what? My apologies.
Let's
I
make a
didn't-
motion to put it on the
I
agenda.
actually think it's already on here under Board Policy IGBH, Board Policy JACYR, Board Policy JNZR, and then fee and tuition schedule. So I think you're safe. It's already on.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah, send it a little bit later.
I'll watch that, sorry about that.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion?
Second.
Okay, we can move forward. First item is on the agenda is the Enterprise Fleet Management Contract. We didn't say the pledge at committee meetings? Okay. So are you
We
here for that?
Yes.
Please.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Gupta, Dr. Majette, board members. My name is Don Floyd. I'm the Director of Facilities for Lynchburg City Schools. And I just put a little presentation together to go over the fleet replacement strategy that was brought to you the other night with Enterprise Fleet. So if we could just, basically an overall view of our fleet is 65% of our fleet is 10 years or older. We've been able to purchase vehicles very slowly over the years. The budget only accounted for about $30,000 to $40,000, $45,000 a year for capital outlay for vehicle replacement. In a couple years in 2010 and 2013, we were able to buy more vehicles with year-end funds, and that's why we have now a very old fleet. If you want to go to slide 2. Like I said, I think Brian mentioned the other night, Nottoway County Public Schools utilizes Enterprise Fleet, and I reached out to them as part of this process, talked with them, talked about how that process is going with them. They were in the same boat we were. Aged fleet, not enough capital outlay to turn vehicle over fast enough, experiencing high maintenance costs, high fuel costs, and of course they were driving in vehicles that were certainly not the safest vehicles as today's standards. Next one. As the budget has allowed over the years, we average, and this is an average of 2 to 2.5 vehicles a year. And that really depends on the type of vehicle that needs replacing. If we're talking about a grounds truck, a large truck that is used on a daily basis for grounds and plowing snow, that is quite an expensive item. And that certainly exceeded that budget amount that we would typically have every year. Like I said, 65% of our light duty fleet is over 10 years old. And at our current pace, it would take us 17 and over a half a years to roll over that fleet and to get into newer vehicles. Obviously, we are expending a lot of money on repairs for these older vehicles. And when we do try to resell these vehicles are not returning a lot to us. And then, of course, there's always the safety concerns of older vehicles not being as safe. So the model that Enterprise Fleet brought to you was to replace 18 vehicles this year under a lease program. It's roughly a $190,000 investment. There is a little bit of upfit needed. When I say upfit, that means that that's the cost for the vehicles new. We have to put shelving racks, ladder racks, grounds needs a dump body, plow connections and things like that. So that's where that upfit number comes from. With this program, we're looking at achieving full fleet replacement in a 5-year cycle. So a lot of vehicles this year, not as many the next, but at that 4th and 5th year, we get down to where now we're starting to roll in the newer vehicles, that then in turn garner a higher return value. And I think, as Brian mentioned from Enterprise, all those funds from any money sold or from the sale of those vehicles rolls right back into the lease program. So as we get into those higher vehicles, we're garnering more money back into the lease program and kind of keeping the lease and the money that can be injected back into that program kind of even. And I just did want to mention that this is not only just the grounds fleet and the maintenance fleet. We also oversee, IT has a vehicle, food service, but all their delivery vehicles are maintained by our shop. And then one option that I had talked about with Enterprise is possibly looking at our, and I probably should have not put CT, I believe that's student services for driver education. Is that correct?
It would fall under health PE driver's ed,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So that's an option for our driver's ed fleet, to get kids into the newer vehicles, safer vehicles. So that's an option that we haven't explored. But our goal is to reduce downtime and costs, improve driver safety, vehicle reliability, increase the resale value through optimal replacing. Enterprise has this down to mileage and the exact perfect time to turn these vehicles over to garner the best return. And it's a financial solution and not operational limitation. Next slide. So the bottom line is, one of the things that makes us, we can move quickly is we can utilize the Sourcewell contract with Enterprise Fleet. That's a national purchasing contract. It's been vetted, so everything is kind of pre-bid on a national level. The solution with Enterprise Fleet will allow LCS to replace 18 vehicles in year one, and the facilities. Over the years, I've requested, and doing the math, we need about $260,000 a year, and that would allow us to start if we did this ourselves, it would allow us to start replacing 5 to 6 vehicles, depending on the vehicle type, a year. Facilities previously met with the city, fleet management on several occasions, and they did offer, maintenance as an option. They certainly are not going to purchase this vehicle, so it's not a purchasing option, but, and we do utilize city procurement for all our purchases. So it's more of not an operational issue, but more just of a financial issue. And we can certainly explore with fleet about, maintaining some of our vehicles. Some of them more expensive, or we're a little limited in our shop. I do have a dedicated mechanic that works on all the white fleet, all the grounds equipment, tractors and things like that. So we do the general maintenance in-house. We do have to send it out for larger services that require a bigger lift, especially on the bigger trucks. So I think that might be the last slide. I wondered if you guys have any more questions I can ask about how we got here, or, yes, sir.
I'm looking at the chair too.
Please.
So your total cost in this column of lease is about $3.3 million over a period of 10 years. In this handout I have for leasing agreement spread over 3 years is $3.3 million. Purchase lease with the asterisk on the top. Do you see that?
No, sir. Are you on the green sheet?
It's right in the middle.
Fleet analysis.
Fleet cost.
Yeah. I'm actually having a hard time seeing it. I had to print it small.
That's why the number is around 3.3 million. And with the asterisk says, lease rates are conservative estimates, means there'll be a cost up. That's a backdoor entry to saying there may be a 5%, 10%, 2%. I don't know what that rate increase will be. To me, 10% for a school district means 300,000.
Yeah.
But I divide that 3.3 million, looking at the net present value is 3.3 million, by an average cost of a vehicle about 40,000, 45,000, it's about 82 vehicles. So just not doing the interest rate into that equation, it's just, if you can make me sense why I should vote to give these people a contract when in-house looks more attractive based on these numbers.
Well, I will say that in-house, we would, we can replicate this program. We're in such a deep hole right now with vehicles. We're 44 vehicles in, with the majority of them in very poor shape. This look to be a way to stabilize the annual budget for replacement and keeping us in newer vehicles, more fuel efficient, less maintenance costs. That was the thinking behind it. And yes, all these numbers because, and I think there was one where they wanted to push because we can still get in on 25-year models and 26s are about to open with an anticipated, there's always an increase in the cost of the 26 models.
Because in this number I have given you does not include, they had someplace year zero, not 26 is their year one in this spreadsheet. Year zero was a cost of 100 and, it's a very small print, 190,000 and 27,000 one-time aftermarket cost. So that's about 217,000 on top of this 3.3 million. You know what I'm saying? So,
So when we get to year zero is where we're not owning any vehicles, is that what you're indicating? Yes, sir. So then we would be in a total lease situation, and then, of course, the resale of all the vehicles that as we roll them over, we'll be garnering more return on them that goes on towards that number of annual cost for the lease.
Did you do an analysis as to what it would take to replace the vehicles by purchase?
Well, we've always looked at doing that, and that was the cost. That was the cost that I came up with for an annual budget of about $250, $260 to try to start turning this fleet over at 5 to 6 a year.
Okay, so that's $250 a year, but we're looking at $366. We're looking at an average of $300,000 from what Dr. Gupta was saying. So it's $250 to replace the vehicles and have new ones.
Well, that's only 5 vehicles a year, not the 18.
Right.
That they're projecting, yes, sir.
Okay. So again, just getting down to dollars, and they're concerned about the dollars being higher.
Yep.
I think this is a better program overall in the long term, but we have to go year by year.
That's correct.
So.
Yes, sir. And I think you did mention that, you can get out from under this agreement at any point. There certainly would be a purchase back or a return or something to get out of the lease. We have struggled mightily to try to figure out how to dig out of this hole of our fleet. This looked like an option to get us into newer vehicles on a more consistent basis. Obviously, it's, even the fuel costs are based on today's fuel numbers. The good thing for us is the mileage portion of it. None of our vehicles typically go over 10,000 miles a year. So, and there's no mileage limitation, but that keeping those miles being low certainly aids in the return value of the vehicles.
Well, typically, that's better to have a lease
Yes.
at lower, with lower mileage.
Yes, sir.
That's typically true.
Yep.
But once again, the numbers don't add up to, it's an increase of $80,000 a year.
Yeah. It's just a commitment I think the division has to make to either go this route or we set aside the money every year for fleet.
You said that, can I ask?
No, go ahead. Just keep it open.
I don't want to dwell in the past, but I don't remember last year a fleet number coming before this committee or the year. So you said you requested 260,000 in previous years and it's been denied?
Yeah, so in our budget exercises, we put down the budgets that we need for certain things, and that has been a number that has been in there the past couple of years.
And
Typically.
we denied the number, or?
No, I don't think it's anything that has been denied. I think it's just a lack of funding, and I believe categorical funding has really hindered that process as well.
If I may, city council usually tries to move all of the money into instruction. And so the operating departments kind of stay small and live within their own little world. Because most of the majority of the increases coming from city council is going to instruction, rightly so, we're in the business of students, but we still can't maintain industry standard operating things on such shrinking budgets from, public pupil transportation and those things. So that's, I think, why those vehicles do not get recommended in the superintendent's budget, because the superintendent is agreeing with city council and pushing that funding to instruction.
Okay, I just
So
want to make
that's
sure I
all. Yeah,
understand.
yeah, so.
So you're
it-
saying
so
that,
it
you're saying
comes-
that if we need school buses, the superintendent will say, oh, no school buses.
Well, no.
Is that what you just said?
School buses are priority because they are student
So are these
facing.
vehicles? I want to understand how, am I,
Now, I was not here, but I will speak to how I've done budgets. So essentially, you go through your budget process, all your departments have their request, and of course, we'll bring you the budget of need. We're required to bring you budget of need, but it could be an additional, say, $4 million that we may need. But if the city council comes back and says, you know what, we're gonna level fund you, then if we're in that type of situation, and I believe you all were level funded for some time, for a while, if you're in that situation, then you never have that additional money to actually allocate towards that.
See, the issue I have is, to me, giving it to a third-party contractor in business term is a sunk cost. You know, you give them, like I say, Mr. Floyd, say hello to me and I'll give you $10, or the other way around. So once you say hello, those $10 are gone. I'm not carrying anything in my pocket other than that here of $10. So this $3.3 million over 10 years is a sunk cost for the school district because we don't own any of those assets. You know, they own the assets. It's a temporary flash. That's how I look at it. You know, it gives us a short-term flashlight, but long-term, we'll be holding back, which the amount becomes almost double. 151 in the first year and goes up to 366 in the tail end. So they're making money at the tail end, and they're giving us discount on the front end. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's called entrapment in business language. I get a customer on the door, get them hooked up, and once I get them hooked up, then I jump up the price and I can see in that table. That's what's happening. And so end of the day, 3.3 million, and as I going back to my number, on average of 50,000, gives us about 80 vehicles over a period of 10 years. Not right now, over a period of 10 years. So, and you said last time in the board meeting, you have about 250,000 to spare by moving items, dollar amounts between the lines,
We
right?
can have some savings built into not having and maintaining an older fleet so
it bring-
that we could put it in purchase.
Brings two questions to mind. Right now, you got 250, you can sustain $151,000 charge by enterprise. 4 years down the road, that dollar amount goes up to 366. Where are you going to get that additional cash
I
from?
don't disagree with you on that.
No, I'm asking you a question. Where will you get that money from?
We will have to look at other lines to reduce
It
in
means
order
we'll be in trouble, we'll be in a hole, knowing that we signed a contract and we are $116,000 in hole once we sign it, right? Knowing that our cap is $250,000. You see what I'm saying? So I'm signing a lease with you for a house, knowing that I got only 250 in my pocket, and also knowing 4 years down the road, my payment will be 366. Is that a financially responsible way to proceed?
My recommendation, no, it would not be.
Thank you.
I remember asking you the question, if you saw the line items and you saw that the reduction, that the lease was actually going to be a reduction in cost. And you said yes,
So it's a reduction in maintenance costs, so we would offset our maintenance costs
but not total
to
cost.
pay for this. That's correct.
And not
Not
total.
total cost.
Okay, fair
Now,
enough.
that is taking into the account the first year. The ballooning payments, we would have to look at other line items to reduce, to accommodate those as well, so.
So what's keeping us from allowing those 250,000 right away to replace some vehicles, you know, as you need? Let's get rolling, right, in this current fiscal year. And then that's a step forward in the positive direction. And then with the understanding and approval of the finance and the board, that will continue doing that the years to come.
And I think that's really the underlying thing here, is that there has to be at least some commitment to turning this fleet over and appropriate funds set aside to do that on an annual basis. That's the only way we're going to dig out of this hole.
and I just want to make sure, these are food service trucks?
No, they are,
It's a food service truck, box truck,
yes, there are food
And
service
there's
trucks, there's grounds,
HVAC truck.
all the technicians.
All the
yes, sir.
technicians, so these are vital. I'm saying, I don't, you know, I don't understand how these weren't considered vital to operations all along. How this, all of a sudden it's vital, and 2 years ago it wasn't vital, 3 years ago it wasn't vital. These vehicles are vital to the operation of the district.
I will say the
I-
request that came to the superintendent for the FY '25 budget was about $13.6 million. So that included those additional things. And when it came to the school board, we had whittled it down to 5.5, which was a more palatable amount to take to city council. We took that 5.5 amount to city council, and so
They
we
cut it to
got,
2.8, that whole,
right, they offset a small increase we got for students from the city.
but I'm
I mean,
saying,
from
are
the
we
state,
looking at any
so-
creative ways to get that vital in somewhere else? Instead of just in the extra 5.5, is there somewhere in the operational budget that we can find a place for these vehicles? So we're not looking for the extra money all the time, it's in the budget.
We can
Certain
start,
amount in the budget,
we can start cutting other budget lines, but as you are aware,
reducing of the budget
I-
line.
In a school system, about 80 to 85% of your costs are your employees. So the only way to start cutting and looking at lines beyond the basic utilities and, you know, things of that nature, it is going to cut salaries and benefits. And we obviously in that department already have shortage. So I'm not sure how I can get that blood from a turnip.
Okay, I'm not expecting that. What I'm
Yes.
saying is, we spend money every year on school buses.
No,
Almost every year.
well-
Since I was there for 12 years, every year we got at least 4 or 5 brand spanking new school buses.
yes, sir. Prior to my arrival, you got 25 brand-new ones covered by grants. So we have not had to
Wondering
put a
why we didn't look at,
significant
could've
amount
reduced
into that.
one school bus and got how many regular vehicles?
I can't, that was before me. I can't answer that question.
So, Mr. Connor, one of the things like Mr. Marshall and I were talking about earlier, and just even when this enterprise piece came up, it's just making sure, you know how the gentlemen a little bit later are going to talk about the CIP plan, but just having a solid, I know sometimes we look at CIP and we just think facilities and buildings and those things, but when we think about all of our major projects, of making sure that we have like the fleet management and those pieces built into
That
that.
should-
So-
yeah.
So that was one of the things that Mr. Marshall brought forward, was saying that he wanted to make sure that we had in play. That way we could say, you know, because I think sometimes it's a little bit easier to say, hey, we're going to have a replacement plan of 1 to 2 vehicles a year. And I mean, I know it takes a long time, but that's a more reasonable ask when we start going to city council. We're looking at increases versus saying, getting to this point where we need to replace an entire fleet at one time.
You going to make a motion to, are we moving forward or?
Well, I personally, I don't see how we can justify it. The lease.
I make a motion that, do you want me to make a motion?
Go right ahead.
I make a motion that we not move with the enterprise and explore other options.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second?
And so that I have clarity, Mr. DePaul, the one, so between 2 chairs, the committee and.
No, not your chair, I'm just a
No, no.
member.
Okay, just a member. So for this, for clarity, when we're doing the agenda, this goes no further than this, correct? It
That's
won't
correct.
hold the regular agenda. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, we have first Gupta, second is by Connor. Will you please call the vote? Or do we do that, or can we just, all in favor say yay?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So it passes unanimous. Thank you. Second on the agenda is the HCS Instructional Resource Toolkit.
Alrighty, well, first I would like to say hello and acknowledge our committee chair, Mr. DePaul, our chair, our vice chair, and committee members, welcome. Just wanted to give a little, it's very exciting actually, update. I'd say a little bit of an update, but we have been able to tap into a resource toolkit through Hampton City Schools. Hampton City Public Schools. I've actually been looking at this for the last couple of years, have had the opportunity to work with Dr. Smith, the previous superintendent in Hampton City Public Schools. In efforts around the time of COVID, they built a team and started creating lesson plans, a toolkit, assessment tools, PowerPoints, resources, et cetera, that are in full alignment with the Virginia Standards of Learning. They saw great benefits from this. They started in-house and saw great benefits from this. They started to outsource this a little bit more. Some divisions started to buy in and wanted to purchase the materials. So they put another team back together and started to outsource those materials, hence the HCS toolkit. I got to see it in action in 2022. Actually went to Hampton City Schools and got to see it in action. It's been something that's kind of stuck with me because one of the major priorities in them putting that school division putting it in is they had a lot of teacher turnover, a lot of new teachers, and had a lot of second career educators, which is kind of where we found ourselves in the last several years. A lot of the listening over the last 2 years, specifically in the last 6 months, we have these lesson plans, we've got lesson plans, it's taking time away from instruction. So we got together, we were able to do essentially a little tour a couple weeks ago with Dr. Gary Skeen, who oversees part of this process and some other pieces, and he was able to introduce what that would look like for Lynchburg City Schools. We were able to purchase this. We got some proposals. We were able to purchase using grant funding. So nothing coming out of our operational budget, but strictly using grant funding that we needed to be able to spend down anyway. What this is going to do, it's going to unlock an opportunity for our folks to have access to full-blown lesson plans, have access to slides, nothing that they have to create, and know that it is fully aligned to our standards, to Bloom's taxonomy for rigor and relevance across the board, and it's something that they can just focus on instructional delivery as specifically a tool. It's allowed for alignment throughout our division, and it will allow for a consistent lesson plan template. It will also take a lot of pressure off of our administrators so that they're able to go in and focus on what quality instruction looks like in the classroom. So we wanted to bring that to the table today to just say, here it is. This is where the funding source would be coming from. We have that protected, and we'll have the opportunity to roll that out with PD opportunities throughout the year. We're starting on a very small scale, and we're able to really walk alongside all of our staff and provide a very valuable tool and resource to take some pressure off of folks.
And can you mention that you're going to give it the academic success?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I have it written right here in blue right by it. I got so excited about the toolkit itself. So August 26th, we do have the Academic Success Committee. I have asked for it to stay in-house so that we can take that to the committee and provide a little bit more insight. During that presentation, I will actually pull up the toolkit and provide some samples and go through that with the Academic Success Committee. But I will also, after today, reach out to Ms. Lowry specifically, who is our chair for that committee, and go through a pretty in-depth explanation with her so that she's able to speak to it as well during that time.
Go ahead.
Just want to ask a question, because
Yes, sir.
whenever we start dealing with grants,
Yes.
it's great for this year and next year, and
sir.
then all of a sudden, oh, the grant's gone, no more grants. So I want to make sure that
Yes, sir.
we're not all excited. The Christmas present is, but now we got to buy batteries every.
I got the batteries. I got the plastic box to put the batteries in. We've got a backup set of
We're
batteries.
buying this, no recurring cost is paid for.
I will not say that it's not a reoccurring cost, but what I did do before we even went through is I went and sat with finance and I said, how is this applicable? And our cost is very, very minimal for this. We're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when I mention grant, that would be our Title II funding. So it's nothing that I'm having to write. It's not a local match. It's none of those items. This is funding that we receive that we have to spend, and that's funding that should actually be going back to our educators. So we're making sure that that is going back as a resource or a tool.
You did, oh, go ahead.
You
Go ahead.
nodding back there, so.
No, I absolutely am not hiding. We are going to leverage grant funding to purchase this toolkit, this resource.
You mentioned not much.
Yes,
How much is not much?
approximately $50,000.
A year?
A year, and that's K through 12. That's all content area. This is not one specific. This is across the board. So this provides it was very, very important for us to not leave any particular group out. When I've heard a lot of the conversation going on, even when we have speakers come up, they're like, what about high school? What about high school? What about some of our centers? What about home education services? This has the ability to touch everybody with a consistent message across the board. So it really is an all-encompassing tool that benefits our entire division.
What I'm hearing from you is it's sustainable
Yes, sir.
without adding any additional financial burden to our operating budget year after year,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
What he's saying is not short-term,
No, sir.
you trap us, and then next year we gotta come up with another $50,000
Absolutely.
to cut something to find money for it. So this sustainable, it'll be, let me use the word, it'll be self-sustaining.
It's self-sustaining, yes, sir, it is, and even if we had to go to a place within our instructional budget or operating, we would be able to sustain it out of our instructional budget because of the low cost. So there is no worry in me of where will it come from. I knew before I walked in here, I said, if I know nothing else, we better be fiscally responsible. And that is my goal. It's how can we serve and meet our teachers and our students, because we want them to be the best that they can be. And to have a template or a foundation to walk in and say, I don't have to create this, but I can go and I can make this particular resource or tool my own. That's the goal. We just want to see really good instruction, not worry about if you're writing a lesson plan.
Well, I think the biggest decision is going to come from academic success, and from it being. I trust that you understand that this is a good program, but the academic success absolutely has to approve that.
Yes, sir. And I am more than happy. I'm actually excited. Our conversations from Academic Success Committee last year revolved a lot around lesson planning, how to support, how to help, how are people not spending extra hours outside of it. So that was part of that digging and research that I started, honestly, about March, April of last year, and just really started to dig in and learn as much as I possibly could. We have approximately 24 school divisions across our state that are utilizing this particular resource and have seen very great gains. The retention rate of teachers in Hampton City Public Schools increased by approximately 82% the year that they implemented this.
Okay.
So I feel very, very confident taking it to the table as an additional resource. And here's the nice thing about it. We try it, and if folks come back and they're absolutely, I don't want this, I want to create my own lesson plans, they have the autonomy to do that too. So it's very
Okay.
flexible. It's not a rigid program that they have to follow. This is simply a tool.
Good.
I make a motion that that the Finance Committee approve this.
Second, anyone?
I just had one final comment as part of discussion. As a professor, I understand this will create a consistency in
Yes.
terms of offering those lesson plans, and it makes the assessment easier.
Yes, sir.
Because if 80% people are using the same lesson plan and 20% opt out, still the assessment of learning outcomes,
Yes, sir.
you're using the same tool, right?
Yes, sir.
The same thermometer, you're taking the temperature, and everybody has it, so the errors are inbuilt on
Yes.
that same thermometer, so it makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully it'll be good for our kids, and hopefully we can sustain it.
Yes, sir. And our transient population, thinking about our students who may go from an RS Payne to a Sheffield, making sure that they're seeing that same type. It's all connected to our learning outcomes and goals, and our team specifically for teaching and learning, as well as our student services team, will connect together to ensure that that alignment is there. So the simplicity of, I'm on Unit 2, Day 8, I should be within a 5-day range no matter where that lesson has taken me, or that particular class says, okay, I maybe need to take a step back. There should be where you're in a 5-day range on average. And if we're outside of that, that should be the indicator for the instructional leader in that building to say, something's going on, I need help in here.
Super. Do we have a second? I'll second.
You did.
Oh, go ahead.
Madam Superintendent, I guess you're on board with this? This is something that you support?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We communicate all the time, absolutely.
So in terms of the SOLs, does that help to enhance this, or what's the correlation there?
Yes, sir. So it's all fully aligned to Virginia SOLs, and the other component to that is not only is the alignment there, so it's going to clearly label and define what SOL is being covered, but it's also going to talk about Bloom's taxonomy, which talks about rigor of the lesson. So we're not teaching the bare bottom basics. We're making sure that we're enhancing that the academic rigor overall, so that the students have the ability to go into a test, an SOL, an assessment, and know it and apply critical thinking skills instead of just answering it for an A, a B, a C, or a D.
So would this add any complexity to the teachers trying to, sort of grapple with the SOLs and then trying to
No,
incorporate this?
sir. This should actually take a lot off of the table. As a brand new teacher, I would have been turning circles and jumping hurdles to have something introduced to me like this, to just say, this is amazing. And it takes the pressure off of Sunday night by 8 o'clock. You need to have your lesson plans in for an administrator to review 50 sets of lesson plans to ensure that they're aligned.
Fair enough.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, next on the agenda is the Restorative Academy.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of give a lead in to this and then probably lean on Ms. Jamies and Dr. Davis. So that was, you remember, one of our earlier meetings, there was a request for data regarding the LCS Restorative Academy. You have a memo there that Ms. Jamies had provided for me, but in looking at that, I know we had said before, there were so many grants. There were so many grants that were really funding this program, and then there were other aspects that our local budget had absorbed. And so part of what we wanted to talk about tonight was we recognize that when the funding runs out at the end of this fiscal year, June 30th, 2026, that if this was something just for the elementary portion that we were going to continue, that would be a total cost, and that's barring if there's no salary increase or anything, of $604,303.60. I know Ms. James will go through the numbers, but a lot of what we wanted to talk about tonight was this something that was their consideration of ending this program earlier? Go ahead. Ending this program earlier and transitioning personnel possibly into the TAP program or another program at the elementary level? Because, people are here, they're in contracts, so we're into this already this year. So looking at that as an option, or looking at notifying staff that, hey, at the end of this fiscal year, that the program would end. And so essentially, if we had open positions based on their qualifications, they could transition there based on our salary scale, not based on what was written to the grant, because some of the salaries in the grant are more than our regular, our regular salary scale. So I want to put that piece out there.
I should have.
No.
Good job.
Look, I'm learning. And so we were really looking at what's the best course of action. I know you all reviewed a ton of data that one meeting, but we wanted to go through some of the information with you because we do recognize at the end of this fiscal year, we can't absorb an additional $600,000 for the program.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes, sir.
Is TAP, is it fully staffed? Are there any openings in TAP right now? Just
No, sir.
Yeah.
TAP is fully staffed.
Staffed.
Fort Hill fully staffed?
No.
Do any of these positions qualify to assist at Fort Hill, or are these all elementary?
This would be a very tough stretch to push elementary to Fort Hill, just content.
I'm just trying to.
Yes, sir,
Think
absolutely.
outside the box. So if we were to end it this, without taking it into September, August of this year, what would be the ramifications?
I'll start, and I know Dr. Davis is going to finish that piece. I know on the financial side, she'll do some adjustments with some of the grants because we'd have to do some amendments. On the instructional side, we'd have to look at where we can best fit some of these people because they are under contract. And so some of the best placements, we of course looked at TAP, and then we recognized that we'd have to look at endorsements and sort of shift some people there.
The other implications to that is we do have students who are under the special education umbrella. So it could be implications when we go back to the table of having to go back with the IEP team for placement decisions based on where they've been placed. Those conversations with families that have already been had in July to say this is where your student is starting the school year at. Transportation implications could come up as well because we've already zoned those students. And then talking about what that would look like into the TAP classrooms. Would we open up an additional classroom or would we have them merge into that? So I am not sure right now that there would be a true, other than depleting the program in preparation for the following year, that you may see a true separation where we're able to push a lot of these folks into different locations other than additional classrooms to tap based on spacing and needs for some of those students.
But right now,
Yes, sir.
TAP and RA are in the same building.
Yes, sir. Two
Okay, so
different
there aren't
groups.
any, but I'm saying
Yes.
there aren't any transportation issues, because,
No, transportation as far as picking up, if a family decides that's not the direction that they want to go, when we talk about a tier 2 to the TAP. So
Okay.
maybe if they're going back to a base school with some type of
Okay.
support or something like that. So
Okay.
no, not location transportation, but just where the student may be at.
okay.
Go ahead.
You know, based on the numbers presented last time in the meeting, on average, we are serving about 5 students in this program.
Yes, sir.
So for public who's watching, that's about $120,000 a student.
Yes, sir.
And I was told, correct me if I'm wrong, on average, we spend about $8,000 a student in our regular school system.
Almost, yes.
So that's about more than 10 times we're spending here. And I'm not saying we should not because the needs are different, but it's costing district in terms of rearranging resources to see what he can cut to sustain this program. And that's a vital thing. But I had a question for Dr. Midget. You got $168,000 of savings because of allocation to the grant money, right, in this? Is that so?
Yes, sir. That's
and
correct.
My immediate answer, I'm looking at Mr. Floyd, I want to be friends with him now onwards.
So
that-
what we would do is, the first part of the memo is the funding from the STOP grant. It is funding that's restricted for these types of activities. What we would do is go back to VDOE, do an amendment to bring this 168,000 into the secondary Restore Academy, and so continue to use those funding.
I'm stretching myself, and forgive me if I'm crossing too much of my lane. If we have savings, could we make a commitment that will do enhancement to our vehicles?
We can save some money somewhere else, let's
Yeah.
slide it over to Don Floyd, please.
So you're basically
Saying.
saying,
Back there.
if we move it now, if we say we dissolve elementary restore, move staffing around as needed, I think we've had maybe some vacancies or potential vacancies coming up. I guess 2 questions. Would we have some savings? And if we did have that savings, what would that process be? Because I know I just asked you this, but just for the group, to move some money from instruction over to the operational side or to cover an
So-
additional vehicle for him.
This funding that we're looking at is Function 1000, and according to city code, in order to move any money between functions, we have to go to city council and request to move that money between functions. It's doable, but we would need to go to city council and request to move money from instruction, which is 1,000, to the maintenance and operations function. So
What's that function?
there's a mechanism by which to do it. It's 4,000.
Okay, so it's that
1,000.
maintenance.
Yes.
To 1,000 to 4,000.
Yeah, 1,000 to 4,000. Pupil transportation is 3,000.
So do we have the potential for a savings if, like an immediate savings, where that request could possibly be made?
So it depends on how you reallocate these positions. So the money needs to follow these positions in function 1,000 if we reallocate them somewhere. Moving, and if they go into vacant positions, then they can be covered by the salary lapse in those vacant positions. But these are all suppositions until I can get to my spreadsheet and look at the real numbers of what those savings are.
You make it.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
Okay.
What are you getting?
Water,
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
I'm parched. All this pressure.
So basically, what we're coming up to is that, do I get a general feeling that RA should be canceled?
I don't see how we can justify
I don't see
spending
it.
$100,000 per student.
I don't see it either.
When these positions can be used and moved around within other alternative settings, like secondary restore, sped, because we've moved elementary sped to TC Miller as well, didn't we?
Thank you.
Some of it?
Some of it.
Some of it, so,
Now, since they're under contract, do we have to keep their same pay grade?
Yes, you'd have to keep the same pay grade.
So the majority-
For this year.
Okay.
But there are some vacancies and things where we can see where people can fit.
But a lot of this is grant money.
Yes, this.
So
some
if
of
it's,
the-
So what we would do with the grant money is we would go back to VDOE, do an amendment and say, we want to take this grant money and put it into the secondary Restore Academy, because you're still operating that program. So these grant funds wouldn't go back to the state. We would just ask them to let us use them in secondary versus elementary.
and would the suspension center also be part of this restore? Is that part of,
Of the RSC, that's still secondary piece, so that would be included.
so that none of these positions can,
Oh, they could possibly transition to help there, I would think.
Right, they could help, but we just don't have any open positions there right now.
but once again, this is grant money, and isn't some of this going away?
Well, so the
Okay.
100.
So before you go on,
Yes.
so we need to accept the fact that when this grant money goes away, those positions or those people go away. We need to accept that.
Yes.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
you're correct.
I make a motion, if we're ready, I make a motion that we stop the Restorative Academy immediately.
and absorb it into TAP or wherever we can.
Absolutely.
I second it.
And
Discussion.
explore the savings and come back to the finance committee with.
Yes, sir. But I think the motion would be a recommendation that full school board consider this and take it
Well,
to.
that's what this
Yeah.
is.
Yes, sir. Yes.
We're going to bring it to them, so this is
Yes.
what the committee does.
Yes.
The only thing the committee does, it bypasses going through the motions, and it just goes up for
Yes, sir.
immediate action.
If any item gets killed in the committee, then it never goes to the full board.
Yes, sir.
Any item which comes up through the committee, then it goes to the full board for.
Yes, sir.
So the item number 1, which was voted down by this committee, and that's done.
Yes, sir.
So,
Okay, we have that motion. All in favor of bringing this to the full board? Say aye.
aye.
Those opposed? Great, 100%. CIP Facilities Project Review?
Okay.
All right, well, good afternoon again. First of all, I wanted to let Jordan introduce himself. I don't know if many of you met Jordan yet.
Yes, I'm Jordan Eubank. I'm the new construction project manager. Started back in June, so thanks for having me.
So basically what we did was we did an overview of the recent city allocation to CIP. So we put together just a little presentation, just kind of slide through some things we've done and where we're kind of going. So this is in the actual city's budget. This is captured from their CIP capital project funds. This is the money that they did allocate to us. And you can see that it was $10 million this year majorly for electrical mechanical improvements to the schools, an additional $950,000, which goes into some different pots like playground improvements, CTE, and if we go to the next slide, it'll break it down a little further. So that's how it was presented, and you can see in '26, we got 250 for the playground modernization. That's to continually upgrade and replace our aging playgrounds at the schools. Middle school career technical education improvements, that's something that Mr. Dooley has worked out and knows where those funds are going, but that's to improve the labs at the middle schools, and we'll see some more of that. And then paving and fencing, that's a pot that they typically fund for us to keep up with our asphalt and fencing issues or needs around the division. And then at the bottom there, you'll see the school maintenance and infrastructure, the $10 million. So this was just another snippet in that same budget document. It just shows the sheet specifically for the CTE improvements and where those funds are allocated. Sandusky Middle School, $50,000 for computer modules. Lincoln Middle School to really invest in a health science lab at that school. And then $100,000 to really upgrade Dunbar's culinary arts lab. And so I just want to go over some recently completed projects. These are where we have used CIP funds in the most recent years. Obviously, we just wrapped up the Dunbar Middle School heating system replacement. That's where we converted Dunbar from steam to hot water, and you can see the allocation there. Sheffield boiler and chiller replacement, that's happened over the past couple years. So Sheffield's gotten brand new chiller, just started last month, and has high efficiency boilers. So efficient that the gas company called us after we installed them because they were concerned we were not using enough gas. So we're really looking for some savings on that. EC Glass Science Wing and Auxiliary Gym, these were the last of the roofs at Glass that were just coming out of warranty. So now all of EC Glass roof is under warranty. Lincoln Elementary rooftop unit replacement, that was something we used CIP funds out of a necessity. We had two major units on that rooftop that were over 20 years old go out on us, and we have just finally put the last unit on the roof this summer. EC Glass chiller cooling tower, that has been an ongoing project over multiple years where we replaced the chillers that failed. One of them failed right from the start of school one year, a couple years ago, and then we progressed to replacing the cooling tower. And also, well, you see below that we rolled right into the HVAC controls for EC Glass. So EC Glass has new HVAC and new controls where we can control things, do some setbacks, and hope to see significant savings in energy costs from EC Glass. Next slide. Some other current projects. These are smaller projects, but just some things that are in the works now. Paramont's fire panel took a lightning strike, and we just replaced that. Fort Hill Community School, we have some units that have failed, and we're in the process of replacing those. Those units are in hand and will be going on this week. Dunbar West Chiller, that was a project that got started right at the end of school. I take that back, not quite the end of school, but just came online this week. So brand new, high efficiency, very quiet chiller. If you know anything about the Dunbar West chiller, you know we used to get complaints from the neighbors because it was so loud. But now you can hardly tell that it's on. Division-wide access control, that is just recently started. That's been before you before. That's close to a $5 million project that got started at RS Payne because we had a grant. They are wrapping up Payne now. This will give us access control throughout the building, even into classrooms. And we're going to a one-key system. You'll have only one type of key for each school, which is a blessing. Also, the EC Glass RS Payne building envelope project just started. We just signed, the contract was just signed, met with the contractor, and that's really going to be addressing a lot of the masonry infrastructure issues that are leading to some leaks in EC Glass and RS Payne. And then, of course, the Laurel and Lincoln roof are currently projects that are in design, and we'll be targeting those for potentially next summer. And I'm going to let Jordan take over from here.
Yeah, so if you look, the handout that was given out, this next couple slides basically go over this sort of roadmap. And this is kind of, me just starting a few months back. This is kind of what I've been using for what I need to, what's upcoming and what I'm working on at the moment. So like he said, the Lincoln and Laurel roof replacements, we've got those in the design phase now. The Paul Monroe architectural plus MEP improvements, we're working through scope development with a few design firms and looking at our options there. EC glass turf and track replacement, we're also we've received one proposal and working with a few others to do some scope refinement on that one. The Paul Monroe Gym Edition, also part of the Paul Monroe architectural plus MEP improvements to go together possibly. The RS Payne EC Glass building envelope, this was money that was going towards the project that he just mentioned that we signed the contract for earlier this month. The school nutrition equipment, so we've got some money set aside for some school nutrition upgrades, possibly some of that going into Paul Monroe to make it a full cooking kitchen again and various other schools. And then as he said, the LCS CTE improvements, Sandusky, Lincoln, and Dunbar. He kind of talked about how that was going to get allocated. And then the elementary playground modernizations, we've got a few of those, T.C. Miller, Sandusky Elementary, and Darrington already on the books. Got stuff ordered for those. And then we have, of course, the paving pot that we're working out how to use at different locations at this time. So if we want to go to next slide. So this is our fiscal year 2027. This is based off of the presentation that was given back in last fall on where we plan to spend the money that is supposed to be coming next year. Obviously, being next year, I guess I haven't necessarily gotten to getting into these projects as much, but nevertheless, they're on our minds. So you got Perrymont roof replacement, Sandusky Elementary roof replacement, Perrymont architectural MEP improvements, Sandusky architectural and MEP improvements, RS Payne architectural plus MEP improvements, Dunbar Middle architectural MEP. We have the Heritage High School baseball turf replacement, and then the Heritage Elementary gym addition. And then here again, 2028, again, based on the presentation that was given last fall, you've got Bedford Hills Elementary roof replacement, Fort Hill Community roof replacement, Heritage Elementary architectural and mechanical only, Darrington Elementary architectural and MEP improvements, Lincoln Elementary architectural MEP, Heritage High School game field turf and track resurfacing, Lincoln Elementary gym addition, Sandusky Elementary gym addition. So like I said, this is the current roadmap that we're going by at this time. And like I said, the fiscal year 2026, most of those projects we've already engaged in design and scope development to get those projects going. So.
I was gonna say, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're first.
Mr. Connor?
I was looking at you.
Okay. And I think what the gentlemen are looking for and what we're looking for is, particularly those items in red for this fiscal year, are we still good in this direction?
You must have saw me waving like,
No,
especially the EC glass turf replacement. That's been a high priority. When is that gonna start? We're still in,
Yeah, so we've engaged with two firms on that. We're looking for a second proposal. We actually, just recently, we are having that coping repaired. And there was a section of turf that actually had to be repaired right in the lacrosse goal mount. It's a huge beam. So that was done today. Concrete was started yesterday and will be repoured. So we're making it safer as we speak. So that we met with EC Glass athletic staff and the principal at Dr. Rule at Glass, and we talked about a potential October, November start. If we can get some of the site work done this fall, that will impact football, and they are aware of it. So that is the goal, is to get some of this started this fall, maybe even get the track base is failing at EC Glass and has to be replaced. And so the goal is to repair that track base, get that discrepancy between the field height and the track eliminated, and then go back with a new track and new turf.
But my question is, my second question, then I'll be quiet. That field is used on Thursdays for JV and freshman team.
Yes, sir.
Nobody's using City Stadium on Thursdays for football season.
I'm not sure of what their schedule, but they do have some other things. But we have looked into how we're going to accommodate the move of the team
Okay.
in October, November.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are possible.
Some scenarios are in place to accommodate them so we can have the site. It's going to impact, and also will impact the spring sports, because we would like to get started right back on, installing the track and possibly the turf. We're hoping if we can get the asphalt down this winter, it cures, and then we put the rubber running surface on top of that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what's the process of deciding what makes the list and what doesn't?
Well, in the past, it's been Lynchburg City Schools coming up with projects that we know we need and submitting them to the city, along with all the other city departments, and then it's kind of a get together and vote on the different projects. They're usually very good about our high priority projects. Some of the other things fall by the wayside. This year, if you go back to that first slide, you'll see, the appropriation of the 10, the 20.
And 30-20.
Yes. So that's,
It's burned in my head.
that encompasses those 3-year plans that we just showed you. Those were the things that were submitted to the joint committee between the city and this board about CIP funds. So that was what was presented as kind of the roadmap of where we're going. We also, I will say that a lot of the items on that list were developed based off part of our facility study. Dominion 7 did a facility condition assessment that is also part of that document. It's huge, but it basically lists everything in every school, its age and the year it really needs to be replaced. Of course, everything for us is in the first couple of years, but that's kind of our roadmap as well.
Because this is my 8th year on the board, and I've been looking at Heritage Elementary doesn't have a gymnasium. And I've been asking what criteria they build up in other schools, and that's perfectly fine. Sheffield had a new gymnasium, all these schools, Perrymont had a new gymnasium. We keep adding every place, but we somehow left Heritage out. And I keep getting reasons for not doing it, but then those reasons were mitigated. And I see again Heritage at the bottom of the list in 2028. And I thought last year, with all this scrambling, they were moving up. But that school has been left out again. So that's what made me ask, what decides what makes the list and what doesn't make the list? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Is there objective criteria, weighted average you use for saying, I have 7 criteria, we assign a weight to each of those criteria, and Heritage Elementary doesn't meet those standards, so they'll be the bottom of the list.
Yeah, I think if you look back at the appropriation for Heritage Elementary, you'll see that it's significantly more than the other gyms. There was a proposal or an idea to make that a joint space between the high school and the elementary and make it a bit larger.
Yeah.
There is significant more civil work that would need to go into Heritage Elementary because of the geographical, they're kind of landlocked now. So that was one consideration. The gyms were kind of all put on the table as far as an order, because we need to do the MEP at Paul Monroe. It was suggested to do the gym in conjunction with that. That's the only one I can speak to. We certainly could be flexible with the order that the gyms are done. But I think it kind of coincides with some of the other work.
I'm not trying to steal from one place to
Yeah.
give it to the other. It's just the being here for the 8 years and in that cycle and you see that coming on, coming off, coming on, coming off.
Yeah.
And then the suite is being distributed to everybody else. And that has about 350 students in that school.
Yeah. I think one of the good things too is that this appropriation from the city over the next couple of years came with no specific direction. In other words, they're leaving it to us to use it where we feel are the greatest needs. We identified those in that presentation. And that's kind of where this roadmap for us came from. I mean, that's a good thing. So we do have that money, we can count on that money, and I think, you know, if we need to fine tune the map, we certainly can. And I would say that there's a good chance that map might get fine tuned if something does come up, if we have a major.
Just one last question. In terms of design, when you said 2 roof replacements in design, what's the cost of design? The total cost of the project, I'm assuming, is $1 million. 400,000 for one and 600,000.
Yeah, I'll let Jordan.
So what's the cost of designing which you give to the architects?
So the initial, so for like Lincoln Elementary, for instance, the proposal was $16,000 just for the design portion, and that includes construction administration as well.
16,000?
Yes,
So it's less than 10%.
correct.
I toured the track a while back, and that looked to me like a liability.
Yes, sir.
I know there's a lot of important things that need to be done, but since this is so separated from anything else physically, what was the holdup? I thought this was going to be taken care of during the off-season, summer, and now we're going into the next school year. Can you tell me if there's something specific that's holding this up?
Nothing's holding it down, that the allocation's been made and the money's.
Right.
Yeah, in CIP, so we've started the process. It was funding prior to that. I mean, this is a significant project. We certainly, we have 2 needs there. Typically, we're doing a track or a turf. In this case, we're having to do both. So there's some work that needs to happen first, like the turf going down and then the track.
Understood.
Yeah.
It just seems to me like this should have been further along because we're starting school. I was making the assumption, and that you're not doing the construction yourself, I just made the assumption in my mind that this was actually going to be not going into the next school year.
Yeah, that's what we kind of,
Unfortunately, it's not a summer project. It's not a one summer project.
Okay, all right.
Because of the amount of civil work that has to happen underneath.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
you mentioned the Dominion 7. So, question is there a soft copy? Is there a way we can access? I need to see that. I get a lot of questions on where these numbers came from. Let's say, for instance, Sandusky Elementary School, that $30 million to renovate it, but what does that mean? You know, what's the line item? So that's in the Dominion 7.
Not the Sandusky renovation versus replacement. That is separate document. I don't know that I have that, actually. I can certainly look for it.
Is this it?
I can't
I
see.
brought it with me today,
Okay.
only because
Yeah.
I think this might be part of it. I'll give this to you.
Yeah, I'm just looking for that Dominion 7 study that said this school is in poor condition, this school is in okay condition.
Yeah.
And I-
Yeah.
You
A lot
know,
of
but
that-
I haven't seen that. I want to see it. I want to be able to,
Yeah, I think a
Is
lot
there-
of that
is
is
it
actually-
accessible?
I've got a copy in my office.
It's in,
but is there a soft copy? Is there nothing online that we can look at?
Yes.
And then I need,
have it in
I would
emails.
I would request a
There-
copy of it
Yep, we can,
from front to back, every single page.
I think it's in my email, I'll get it to you.
Okay, I need
But you
that,
guys do
'cause
it too.
I keep getting questions and it's
We
like,
can ensure
Yeah.
that you.
Yeah, for sure.
yes.
because we need to know, because some of these were based on some of the recommendations from that study.
Yes.
That's correct.
In order for us to justify it, we need to be able to compare it to the study.
Yeah, that was the first phase of the facility study. That was the first thing that was done. And if you want to come out, you can sort of, it's a huge spreadsheet, this thick and as wide as that
But
table.
yes, we
But
do.
we definitely can
Used
get it to you
using
electronically.
spreadsheets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah, just listening to the numbers, you know, this, to me, it puts us at a sort of disadvantage because we're coming in hearing all the numbers, but we don't see the line items and the details. I guess you guys are the builders and so on.
Project scope.
But when I see all these numbers, I'm just wondering, you know, how do you determine the cost and how do we project, for example, do we do the maintenance based on projection, whether the buildings are going down or not, or do we do routine maintenance? How does that work?
Yeah, so that's a separate budget. That would be my operating budget for regular maintenance of the equipment in the building, if that's what you're asking.
Right.
Yes, sir. As far as the projections or the numbers for the projects,
Right.
they were based on construction standards, and then each year that it's pushed out, there's a percentage that's put on it for inflation.
So you could add an additional percentage annually as it comes up.
I'm sorry, sir.
As you go forward, you would add a additional percentage, you know, to meet the new year or something like that.
Yes, so they gave, so for instance, the Dominion 7 study, they gave a cost, if we were to do it in 2022, it costs X amount.
Right.
Now we're in 2025, they've escalated it, a percentage each year
Right.
to get to these numbers we have.
To try to capture
this.
what 27 would cost.
Right.
Yeah.
But you must have sort of a project scope statement or project scope document for each of these. Would it be possible to put it on Google Drive or something where we can see along with the dollar amounts, you know? That's what I think Mr. Nigel is looking for. You know, you say project scope is developed and the cost is derived from that scope. So the whosoever is bidding must have submitted, right? What the
Yes.
scope of this project is, and then,
I think if we go down to, I think it's the third or fourth slide, there was a, and this information, that one there. So that's how a project gets submitted to the city. And you can see a description there based on whatever it is and how it was submitted and then the cost projection for that project. But we certainly have that, yes, sir.
because your cost derivation should come based on the scope you define, right?
That's
The
correct.
roof is going to be 200
Yeah.
square feet, that's the
Sure.
scope of the work. And then the cost is derived, so that's what I think,
Yeah.
we see the dollar amounts, but we don't see
The details.
the project
Exactly.
scope.
Yes, sir.
And going back to Dominion 7, I was pointing at Mr. Poe, because that question has been asked of me, how did they come up with a facility score of 65, 66? And at that time, I asked Mr. Poe to talk to Dominion 7, and that was me. But to me, maybe that document, again, you know, how they derived those different equations. What went into calculating a facility score of 65, 66, 60? Maybe to the whole board will be useful. That question has popped up and before, and that's my error. I asked him, I said, could you contact Dominion 7? See if they can give him the answer.
So we vote to approve this, accept this?
Yeah, we can accept it, or, so this $10 million city is giving us, what happened to the other CIP money they had it for us in this fiscal year? That's dead money?
The 950? Or
No.
980, I believe it was, maybe.
It's not.
There's a regular CIP they used to approve for us, and
Yeah.
last year too, we submitted 3-4 years of plan, so that money is gone?
Well, honestly, I was very pleased that they put in the money for, and if we go back to, I think it's slide maybe 2, you can kind of see how they're refunding some of these pots. That was it, go back one, please. Yeah, so you can see in 27 where we submitted for civic auditorium improvements. The electrical mechanical reserve, that is an annual pot that they would replenish for us every year. Playground is one that sometimes comes on and off of funding. The interior, exterior painting, that's kind of new for us. Certainly, we are in dire need of some exterior painting, plaster repairs. But typically, they do fund these pots, like the school maintenance and infrastructure, the reserve for facility needs. Those are funded every year. And as we move out, you can see where they're getting back to funding some of those pots on top of the big chunks of funding, the 20 and the 30.
And I had one more request, if I, you know, and I pointed out to Dr. Midget, T.C. Miller closure, we closed a school for innovation. And I'm assuming everything has moved to Bass Elementary, right? Is that the right assumption? No, it has not. Somewhere it has gone someplace, right? There'll be someplace school for innovation. So if let's say if it's going to be Bass Elementary, that auditorium needs some R&R. You know, that needs an upgrade. I don't think for years we have touched that auditorium. Still has wooden seats, you know. That's wonderful. The audio system is, and, needs some replacement. So I don't know how much money will it take to bring that auditorium, so it could be the school for innovation, if the district wants, or the board and the superintendent desire, for arts, which they used to have at TC Miller.
Right, is that,
Those individuals that were doing the arts programs and theater actually are at RS Payne this year.
I think it happened sometime in the spring.
It did.
does
That
RS Payne have?
No, RS Payne Auditorium is same as Bass.
is
Yes.
very nice. Yes, it is.
The plaster is falling off, the lights need replacement.
Yeah, and they, it has very good potential, but it would need some.
Or
Yeah.
something like that, interior, exterior paint, plaster repairs, that, is some of that, well, I see zero.
Yeah, so
26.
actually, for RS Payne, the building envelope project is going to
Yes.
take care of a lot of that.
Okay,
When you see the civic auditorium improvements, that's something we were working on for all our auditoriums, well, mainly Glass, Dunbar, RS Payne, and Bass. And these were improvements to these spaces. Glass, we're trying to get it back to a place where it's desirable to be rented again. The sound system needs improvement, the lighting needs improvement. And as we move through on, we had a stage, or I should say, an auditorium drama person come and evaluate our stages at our schools. And they made some good recommendations. That's where a lot of that money in the next couple of years comes from, not only for Glass, but for RS Payne, Bass, Dunbar, which is another one that needs some work as well.
can I put my transportation hat on for just a minute? If we're looking at a school for arts and innovation, Bass or RS Payne would be good solutions, because the Go Center's at RS Payne, so we're already getting kids from everywhere. And we have the extended school year invited students at Bass, so we're getting kids from everywhere. So either one of those schools, we wouldn't have to add a whole layer of out-of-zone transportation if we consider those two schools.
You need to upgrade the infrastructure. If you pick RS Payne to be the school for innovation, they truly need to be school for innovation when it comes to art. Art requires auditorium, and the plaster is falling off, the lights are hanging out. I'm not talking negative, I'm trying to, but staying positive.
How do we make that a priority?
Yes.
To get those funds allocated, if that's what we decide to do?
So I think they're built into these allocations from the
Okay.
city over the next 3 years.
Will that be possible for you to bring back to this committee? It's built in right now, like, it's a big pot where the different vegetables are cooking. I'd like to know my cabbage, where it is. So would that be possible to bring it?
To say, okay, RS Payne's gonna be our school for innovation and the Go Center. This is what we need to do to get the auditorium right. And this is what it's gonna cost, and this is when we can do it.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
you're
was
looking at
saying.
me real funny, when we can do it.
Some of that work's already started. So
Okay.
some of that's already started. The moving of the equipment from TC.
Yeah, I
Water.
just approved the PO for that, so we're already on board with improving.
I guess we're saying we wanna see it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know,
We're moving along.
These kids should be getting digital surround sound system, they should be getting the state-of-the-art technology in our school for innovation. That's what innovation is. We shouldn't be lagging behind in anything in that place.
So all these spaces, we're looking at, electrical upgrades, lighting upgrades. These are all incandescent bulbs that are being used in these schools. So when we get the LED, it's going to be a huge savings, but also it's going to free up a lot of space. You should see the dimmer set at EC Glass. But this includes curtains, the stage itself, the acoustics in the building. That was all looked at. So we get RS Payne nice and dry and the plaster repaired, and then we'll make it a real showplace. The guy who came and evaluated RS Payne was very impressed with that. He called it, it's a vaudeville type stage with a little bit of a fly. It's still got some sandbags up top, not in use, but in the corners over there, which is pretty interesting.
Okay, one more question, a facilities question. Look in this room.
This room is ready for an upgrade, sir.
Okay.
We're working.
I've been saying that all year. Yeah, we need to,
We're on TV twice a month.
That's right. so let's form a little committee and come up with a plan to liven up this space a little bit.
The kids come first, but yes, the board, you gotta take care of the kids first. But
Paint's cheap.
But I think going back to RS Paint, do you have a timeline for that project?
Well, as you saw, the 26 table's pretty full, but I will say that this first allocation really should lay the groundwork for those subsequent years, so we can get the design work going, in place, ready to go. We don't need to wait for 27 to do the design work for Paramount's roofs. We can have that ready. So, and that was one of the discussions in that committee was they want to give us this money, but we cannot spend $10 million in 1 year, right? So, but we can do a lot of the design work. If this is the path we're going forward, we can have that stuff ready to go as soon as we're ready. In 27, when that money hits the CIP, we can roll right into these projects.
And city reminds me one more thing I just want to clarify, and I was told that we cannot encumber any of the city money till January. But then I was told that's not true. The money is available to us as of July 1st, and the school system can expense that money as and when needed.
Yes, sir. My suggestion is we go ahead and encumber the $10 million as quickly as possible, because we don't want to wait towards the end of the fiscal year to try to spend all that money at once. So as of July 1st, that money is available to LCS.
In terms of operating budget too, that money is available, right?
Yes, it is.
City allocation is available to write checks from, not from January 1st, from July 1st.
Yes, sir, from July 1st, and we are already getting allocations from the city as far as their appropriation, so.
So in our spend, we basically do use city funds and state funds and federal funds together, not just exhaust the state and federal first.
No, sir.
And then go to the city, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, they're used in conjunction with each other, yes, sir.
Because one more thing I had request for the superintendent is, if we are making RSP in the School for Innovation, are we taking applications for, like we used to do for TC Miller, for School for Innovation, students used to apply. And if we are, could we make that information public so the parents know that the School of Innovation is not gone? School of Innovation still exists, has just moved to RSP.
Well, is this finance related?
Yeah, because the money is going to be spent in building the auditorium.
I do know that if we're going to make it a school for innovation, there is a process that's been followed in the past. So if you would allow me some time to review what that looks like to actually name a school for innovation, that would probably take us the span of this year, while some of these projects and things are being worked on. But if you would allow me the time to look into that, to see what's
been done.
historically made us a school of innovation, not just what the parameters are, but what we also need to classify for the state. I will be happy to get back to you. I can get on that pretty
The
quickly.
reason I brought it up, because we're trying to now channel making auditorium state-of-the-art for the School of Innovation.
Absolutely, and I don't foresee that there will be an issue with that, other than sometimes it's a matter of just waiting on the time frame to actually call it that School for Innovation. But I'm happy
Probably
to.
wouldn't be able to do it till next fiscal year. Well, that way, let's say and I think it was in February or March when we started sending out the invitations and.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we should be able to, because it's just a contact to the state to say, would we be able to get this up and going? Would we be able to advertise? What do our class sizes need to look like for invitation? And remember that we've zoned, some of those TC Miller kiddos have gone to RS Payne now, so making sure that we get them up and going to see what our class sizes and things look like as well.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the report, bring it to the board? Okay, first, second,
Second.
okay. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Okay, passes.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next is school consolidations. Mr. Connor, did you want to start that off?
Oh, do I want to start off? We need to look at if we need to consolidate any additional schools. I know we took Sandusky Elementary off and that's why I want to know the Dominion 7 report, because if it's going to require $30 million in renovations, I don't think we should focus on one school when we really need, we got a school for innovation we need to look at, and we have some critical decisions to make at other schools before we focus. And that's why I want to see, was it 30-something million dollars to bring it up from 65% to?
It sounds about right. But one of the things I wanted to bring up with Dr. Majette is, if there is an availability to change our elementary schools from K to 5 to K to 6, and possibly reducing the need for extra buildings, if we could consolidate middle schools, I was wondering if that was something that we could work on, or if you see it as being feasible. Do we have the room?
I think that's something we probably would have to take a look at to see if we have the room and
Yeah,
if
not
that would
today.
work.
But
Yeah.
that would save dollars, money for renovations that could possibly consolidate classrooms into reducing some element of staff.
Are you thinking if elementary schools are K-6, then would 7, 8 go to the high schools? Or are you looking at taking those other students and
Well, I was thinking 7, 8 would be the middle school,
just 7, 8 is the middle school?
and if it works, 7, 8, 9, but I don't think we have the 9 to 12 would be a good high school. I'm just thinking of that's the way it was when I was growing up. It was K to 6 was elementary, 7, 8 was junior high, and then 9 to 12 was high school.
And some of the structures around here have, I will say, even when I was younger, we did do which seems like forever ago since I was in school, but there was a K to 6 at one point, but some of the structures even locally have gone around a K2, a primary, and an upper elementary. So it doesn't really reduce the buildings, and I would be remiss if I didn't say consolidating just TC Miller recently, and knowing some of the classrooms we've had to add and shift in some of the buildings, Deerington, Bass Elementary, and then just some of the shifts that we've made. We'd have to look at things programmatically too, because my interest also in the Dominion 7, and I can't speak to whether this was done or not, did it consider room spaces or programs also that are in some of those buildings? So it may have said that there are 4 or 5, 6, 7 rooms open in a building, but we know programmatically we've got some things running out of there, so we really don't have that space that it says that that building may have. So I think it is worth a look back at that, so we could give you some firm numbers on what a K-6 would look like structurally and what it may look like outside of that.
And this is, because I understand there's different toilet sizes, and there's a lot of different sizes when you get to the 6th grade. This is not about
Yeah.
spending money, extra money to make that change. This is about whether we can utilize existing structures
Yes.
to consolidate.
Right.
Any questions? So,
Without going to a K through 6, let's say we keep everything pre-K through 5. Do we need to look at reducing, because even with the moves, there's space now, even at Bass. We moved the whole neighborhood to Bass, and Bass still has space that not even near where it was when we were at over 8,000 students 10 years ago.
Yes, sir.
So that tells me that there's space. We moved a whole neighborhood out of Heritage Elementary.
Yes, sir.
We haven't replaced those students.
Yes, sir.
We moved all the pre-Ks out of Perrymont. We didn't replace those students.
The approximately 45 students left TC Miller, so a couple of those rooms did get utilized.
Okay, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
There
so
was
a couple
that's
of
something
those,
that was a
those
little
are
bit of
those,
wash.
yes, yeah.
A little bit of wash
Yes.
there. But we did also pull Birchwood Apartments out of Perrymont to Darrington.
Deerington, yes, sir.
So what I'm saying is, and if so, we just looking, so that just tells me that we may still be heavy in buildings,
We are.
at elementary level. We could be, and I know it'll create a firestorm, and I know this is being streamed, but when I look at Sandusky, if you go down Thomas Road, Perrymont is right there,
Yep.
basically. The name changes, but that's Sandusky Drive and Thomas Road is the same road.
Yes, sir.
So if all the students say north, on the Thomas Road side or the Sandusky Drive side would fit at Perrymont. Then if you go southwest of Sandusky with less than 3 miles, you have Sheffield. Am I right?
Yep.
And if you go southeast of Sandusky, less than 5 miles, you have Heritage Elementary that we just pulled several. So to me, the school that is kind of in the middle of 3 other adjacent schools
And needs a
and
lot of
needs a
work.
lot of renovation would be
Make sense.
Sandusky Elementary. And the relocation of the students wouldn't be, that's what I'm saying. So all the kids in this area would go to Sheffield, all the kids in this area would go to Heritage, and all the kids in this area would go to Perrymont. And it would seem that school would be the one to logically, not emotionally, because I know it's gonna be very emotional again, but logically and financially would be the best school to consolidate. Or
I agree. Even whether we do K6 or keep it K5, that makes a lot of sense.
So if we were to potentially close the school you just mentioned, just kind of.
Sandusky.
Sandusky, how much money would we be looking at saving if we were to close that school?
Well, we'd, number one, be avoiding the necessary updates. That's one thing we'd be saving on. As far as moving the students to another school, until we start modifying the staff, as was stated, 81.5, let's say 80% of our budget is personnel. So until that occurs, we're maybe just a couple million.
Where there's natural attrition that takes place
That's
every
right.
year.
That's right.
So we wouldn't replace those positions. Also, there's 30 million in potential renovation costs
That we're going to avoid.
that we're gonna avoid. So, and I think it would be up to Dr. Majette and Dr. Davis to come up with what teachers would need to be relocated, what retirements would take
Absolutely.
place, what natural,
Attrition.
attrition would take place, and then what that net savings could potentially be.
So
I think it's something worth further study. But the thing is, I think one of the issues what we had last time is people felt like there wasn't enough time allotted for them to, so if we're gonna make that decision, I think we have to, earlier the better. We gotta make sure we know that's the right decision, and then we need to be able to
Articulate.
justify it.
Yeah, I agree. So, to put one more thing on your plate, huh?
That's perfectly fine. I was about to ask some clarifying questions to make sure that we came back with everything you
Absolutely.
needed. So the Dominion 7 study. And then also, that gives Dr. Davis and I to just kind of look at class sizes, potential, just the potential implications of making that move, how that impacts class sizes at the various locations. And then just seeing if there's any additional, well, we recognize you get 30 million, I got the number straight this time, so you get 30 million next year, so that can go towards other projects versus that particular school. And then, Mr. Marshall, Dr. Davis, Ms. Jamies, am I missing anything else, Mr. Floyd, that we need to look at so that we can have all of this captured to bring back to this committee?
I just wanted to mention that if you look on that roadmap for CIP, there is some funding in there for Sandusky for a roof and some other items that is desperately needed there, so just keep that in mind.
And what year was that going to be worked on?
Sir?
What year was that?
Is it
2027.
27?
27.
It's on here for
So if we
27.
made a
That's what I
decision to close that going into 26, then
Reality.
It would be,
It's kind of a
That would be-
moot point
that-
if we get this done quicker.
I just want to make sure you were aware that
Oh,
there
yeah.
was some, because obviously Sandusky's been deferred for a long time.
so if we were to decide to close Sandusky, you can pull those funds and reallocate them to a different,
That's my understanding.
You
They're-
can
they're
move
not
something
tied to
up
any
faster?
specific- Yes, they're not tied to any specific project that the city is dictating. It was our our needs that dictated that. That was 3 years.
for example, we could work on the Heritage Gym sooner?
I'll leave that to these guys.
Check,
Get it moved away from,
in theory,
get it moved away from the dais.
check your email. I think I sent one of the Dominion 7 reports.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Well, and I was going to say one other thing that we have to think about, these larger architectural plus MEP projects, you know, that these are not projects that can be done in a summer. So you're going to have to think about what you're doing with those students during that construction process, such as,
Which one are you talking about?
just in general, like Paul Monroe or RS Payne, where you've got larger, full school MEP improvements, architectural MEP improvements. They're not going to be done in 65 days, that there's going to have to be some moving of students to accommodate those
Sure.
projects.
Thanks.
And that was one thought of doing the gym with Paramount, that might be a space we could utilize for some potential moving of students.
Right.
So,
Super.
So looking at this, I just have a question. So for Sandusky Elementary, if that was the decision of the board to go that direction, it's 1.6 million, it looks like, for the roof replacement, and if I'm reading the next line, for 2027, and then 3.6 million for the MEP. So though, that, if Sandusky Elementary was closed, those funds would go to another project next
they
fiscal
can
year.
go to wherever we want to direct
However,
them.
however they wanted to allocate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which,
So as a committee decision, we can go ahead and approve that this goes forward before we bring it to the full board, that we get the information together and have a good report to bring to the full board. So we don't, it's this, not that we have to have that approved by the full board at this point. We're just requesting the data, we'll get it together and then go. That's a motion to, my motion will be to have Dr. Majette and et al. To get the data together so we can create a report for the full board.
of what the potential savings would be
Yep,
to,
and the possibility of actually being able to do it. So that's a motion, is there a second?
Second motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Those opposed, like sign?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Passes.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys. Next on the list, well, we're at 5:10, 5:07. You want to continue for a few more minutes? Is it okay with everyone? We were supposed to be out of here by 4:30.
Could we approve the policies quickly? So can I make a motion to move the policies up?
Second that.
So that way you have, right? You like the policies approved today?
Well, actually, it's discussion, the policies probably should all be, like, 8, 9, 10, and 11, it's all the same topic. And we just wanted to kind of briefly explain what we were looking at. So I'm gonna start with Dr. Davis, because Dr. Davis and Ms. James have been having conversation about the
Let
fees.
me make, I made a motion to amend, to move it up.
I second it.
Okay.
So, any other discussion on that?
Well, can I make a different motion? Well, I was just saying, the next thing we had on here, I'd say we could table that to the next meeting,
Yeah,
Which part?
the extended school year.
Okay, we'll table that.
Underachieving schools and,
I can amend my motion to include your idea.
okay.
Okay, you good with second?
Move up, so we move up, policy and.
To table rest, yes, sir.
The rest of it to our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I amend my motion, the second.
Second motion.
You good with
She
that?
just has a look on her face.
Yes, yes. I was gonna ask if Ms. James would be able to say her financial report. It was gonna be like 3 minutes or less, 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute.
Sure, I will.
Is that okay?
It's at the board's pleasure, I can.
Let's call the vote.
To move it up or
Well, just,
wait?
no, so that we can still cover it today. She just wanted
Sure.
to briefly cover the report.
Sure, that's good.
Okay.
But that was, but we're still going to do 8, 9, 10, 11 before that, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, because it should all be only one item. It's only one item.
Sure. But that was what the motion was.
Okay.
Okay, so to move up 8, 9, 10, and 11 to right now, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign? Okay.
Okay, so this should be a fairly quick discussion. We have several out-of-zone or out-of-district students who pay tuition to come to Lynchburg City Schools. It is a pretty decent amount, and that is actually labeled in our fees and tuition schedule, which you see labeled as number 11 on here. So any student who attends Lynchburg City Schools pays an out-of-zone fee for $3,400 each year for the first student and $1,700 for students that are additional. This came across our plate because we have some students who may qualify for STEM who have been our students regardless of being out of zone. We've accepted them to come in, and now they've qualified for an additional program, which then becomes their primary schooling, and they've qualified for that. And the question has come up of, do they pay the out-of-zone tuition alongside the cost of a STEM academy, of a governor's school, dual enrollment, et cetera? I will tell you that in reviewing these policies, I really appreciate Ms. Jamie's, because what we found, all of these are linked together in some form or fashion, but what we also found is a lot of these are regulations, meaning that we created them ourselves.
Replace me.
Some of those dates
Would you replace me?
that are listed haven't been reviewed since 2019, 2020.
You don't have to change your seat, but okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay. They haven't been updated since 2019, 2020. And the reality is that there's no clarity on whether or not that the student should or should not pay that. So respectfully, since we've not provided clarity in that, and there are some regulations, though a regulation doesn't necessarily have to come before the board, I think it's very necessary to note that there are some discrepancies, and we need to pull all of these down, review them, look at our costs, look at alignment across the board, and come back collectively moving forward to determine if we want students to pay both of those pieces, or if we're going to say, you are our student, you've paid the out of zone, and we cover the cost of STEM. I will tell you that STEM has not been listed in this, in any of these policy regulations or components. So that is an outlier. And again, respectfully for that family, for that student, they've earned this opportunity. With your agreement, moving forward, we would like to pull these down, look through them, update the regulations and policies after having those discussions to make sure that they match, but not charge families until we have gotten this underway and gotten out clear and consistent communication in both realms, because that was not clearly defined within our policies and or regulations.
So what you're saying is you want to not charge or keep the fees the same?
I would like to not charge the student in addition to what they've already paid for the out of zone. I would like them to be able to attend because that's going to be their primary, and we didn't clearly define that STEM had to be covered per our tuition fees that are currently listed in our regulations.
So we pay a seat fee for STEM.
Yes, sir.
So who's covering that seat fee?
We would cover that as our student, like we do for our students that
So-
are our students.
So our students are not paying
No,
that
sir.
seat fee?
No,
So we're saying, since an out-of-zone student is paying tuition to be a Lynchburg City school, if they go to STEM, we should cover their seat
Yes, sir.
fee as well?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that makes sense.
Yes.
I think that's reasonable. Sounds fair.
Again, if I'm looking at it from a holistic, and we've all had this discussion, they've earned that opportunity really as our Lynchburg City student because they've already paid the tuition. They didn't know whether they were going to get into these programs. So it's a great benefit and honor. So we just, again, in the spirit of transparency and over communicating, we know that we
You
need
wanna
to pull
put it
these
in the
in and look
policy?
at.
Okay.
And I want to be able to clean those up.
And that's for all 4 of these?
They all, as you're reading, they all interlock and intertwine. So that's why we pulled all 4 of them together, because it'll say, please see the fee schedule, please see policy.
Fair enough, fair
So
enough.
I want to make sure when we're pulling everything and cleaning
Right.
all the
Gonna
process
clean
up.
it all up, then come back before us with a final that we can,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But right now, I'd like to not charge, and again,
Right.
I move that we don't charge the tuition-paying students an additional fee to participate in governor school STEM, what's the other one? Dual
full
enrollment.
enrollment, yes.
I have a second.
Yes. Second.
Thank you.
But you are gonna bring back a.
Yes, sir, the whole thing.
So in the meantime, we're not gonna charge, but we're gonna make
Yes,
sure
sir.
that our
We're gonna clean up.
policies reflect.
We want them to be consistent
Okay.
because some things are not in one policy, they are in another policy, they're just not consistent
Not
across the board.
So that's you guys yup, but we're gonna go ahead
Yes,
as
sir.
of today, not
Yes, sir.
penalize the child for, okay.
Yes, sir. for our
We have an
lack of
immediate
communication.
need of a child waiting on
Yeah.
this decision.
Yes.
And so that's why we're bringing this to the finance facilities instead of taking it to the fiscal policy committee.
Let the child go to STEM.
Thank you.
Yeah, plus,
Oh, I mean,
All this niceness going around. Okay, we got a motion and a second.
potentially, wouldn't that be an extra burden on parents having to come up with that extra?
Yes, sir, because it could have cost the family approximately $8,000 to $9,000.
Come on.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, sir.
those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign? Great. Getting so nice here. Won't last for long with all the other things. Okay, financial reports?
I'm going record speed. So you have before you the financial report that you receive every month. And this actually is the one that ended June 30th, 2025. As you can see, it's about as high level and as, you know, a look into the financials as you can get. I am one that is all about transparency and a fiscal oversight. And so what I'm proposing is the second report that you have covers those exact same functions, but it lists out the categories more extensively and actually shows you salaries, employee benefits, purchase services, other charges, materials, supplies, operations, and capital outlay per each function that you already get a report on. I think this gives you a better indication of where we're spending our money, and it just gives you better oversight on one month to another. In addition to that, I have to pull several different reports to give you this high-level report on an Excel spreadsheet. This report is pushing a button outside of in our financial management system and printing it out for you. So it is a more efficient use of time.
Well, what's this?
And, yes, sir, this one. This is the one I'm recommending.
Okay, this is,
Correct.
That's the one you get now.
okay, that's one of the 3 that we get now.
That is the expense report, yes,
Okay.
sir. And I'm recommending a change to the expense report right now. We will look at the revenue and the other reports later on down the road. But I think for immediate, so that the board can start at the beginning of the fiscal year seeing more detailed items and where the expenses are going, I would recommend that you have, from a fiscal oversight, access to this expanded data, as opposed to just the very minimal data you have been provided in the past.
Okay, forgive me.
Yes, sir.
So But this report won't be 11XX, 1XXX, XXX. Will it have
actually-
the actual numbers?
Just to clarify, so the 11XX is a summary because you have a bunch of other numbers behind the XX, and they represent other programs. So each one of these sections is a summary of the chart of accounts that we have gone over before. So this would actually be what the report looks like.
So 11XX is classroom instruction.
Correct, and under the XX represents other numbers within classroom instruction that drills down into it. And if we were to give you all the other XXs, it would be a huge report
No,
that you would have to go through.
I'm just
So,
making
yes.
sure I'm reading. So I see 11XX classroom instruction, then I see 1XXX, 2XXX, 3XXX, and there's numbers over here, original budget, and then the bottom line again is 1XX.
Correct,
And that's the total of all of those other triple X's.
that is correct, yes, sir.
Okay, so that's all we need to know.
Yes, sir. You can look at the totals. And then I always draw your attention to the percent used. I think that's very important throughout the fiscal year.
Okay. So this is what we'll be getting. This will be the expenditure summary, and there'll be what's the other two?
The revenue, and then you
Revenue.
get the summary that
similar?
contains the health
Or
insurance.
they'll be just like what we've been getting?
They will be like you have been getting. I have not found a report within the financial system that provides you as much data as the revenue report that you get at this time. So potentially with some upgrades and changes and updates to the system, we might find a better revenue report. But I'm pretty happy with the information that revenue report delivers to the board. I'm not happy with the expense report. I think that it is not enough information for the board to make decisions on or keep their eye on the progress of our expenses.
We'll be able to tell really the best when we see how many people have that glazed look in their eyes when they read it. This is nice.
Thank you,
I
sir.
like this very much.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept this? I don't know.
So move.
Okay, is any second? Second. I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor for the new report? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign? Passes.
And we're gonna make a motion to table the discussion of extended school year programs?
I'll make that motion.
That was originally motioned in Dr. Gupta's,
Right, okay.
so it doesn't need to be.
So there's nothing else?
Nothing. Okay. Any committee member comments?
I'm ready to go.
Hearing none. Next Finance and Facilities Committee meeting is Tuesday, September 23rd. We are adjourned.